Do you know who I am? My name is the sure thing Mark Sherman.
And I'm that guy, Scotty Slade, and we're Team #Friendship.
And you're listening to Marks on Commentary. Yeah.
We started off a dumb jock who couldn't make the NFL, so you stepped aside the ring and reinvented yourself. Every match you fell off, the fans didn't acknowledge. Now you claim the word life, but thugs don't go to college. It gets no love or any gold with the leather hand. Now I jack your feet and make it hot like the weatherman. You could have fixed shit if you had MacGyver theories, and you only got over because you joined Team Angle and Survivor Series. You just a straight up joke, battle rap with fake fans with some rhymes you free wrote. Actually, what handed those quotes by some 40-something white folks up in the offices. They were sick of all your losses, so they figured out a way to get you on a front page. But you were bossing big bitches like those cowards who jump cage. I can say Vanilla Ice, but that's too damn typical. Plus it insults Rob Van Winkle, bitch. Yo, Tina, your time is up. You can't see me, you phony chump. You ain't a franchise, you's a poser punk. You can't see me, your shit gets sunk.
I think this is fake.
You can't say that.
I can say that.
Wrestling's not fake!
It's still real to me, damn it!
The unscripted, uncensored, loose cannon of commentary. This ain't WCW. This ain't Monday Night Raw. This ain't SmackDown. This ain't even WWE.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
The recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
You're listening to Marks on Commentary.
Unfortunately, you're listening to Marks on Commentary. I'm Eddie Brophy.
I'm Jason Smith.
I'm Kathryn.
I love how there's still that delayed reaction whenever we do that.
Well, you throw it on us like, yeah, fuck it, we're starting the show.
Yeah. Jason and I were laughing, and Eddie was just like, I'm starting the show whether or not you can breathe, and I couldn't breathe.
I will take this bitch on myself. An hour and a half of Eddie. Hey, we did get a tweet this week that said Eddie not on the show equals ratings. That's bullshit. I had to retweet it because I have a fan.
He's in charge of the official Eddie Brophy fan club.
Oh, man.
Expect your membership kit to be arriving anytime in the near future.
Is that going to be the half-used stick of deodorant in a box?
In a mixtape.
It's going to be a half-used stick of deodorant and like one of those like hearts that you make for Valentine's Day and like a glossy 8x10 of me.
Could it be you posing in front of your Tanner family picture?
Oh my god, I love that Tanner family picture. I need to get that fucker framed.
You really do. I will buy you a frame for Christmas.
Oh, thank you. So I can frame the Tanner family. You know what? Actually, my girlfriend, and I can call her this now, it's Facebook official. My girlfriend actually traced the origins of the Cup song from Pitch Perfect to Full House.
Nice. A lot of time on our hands.
Because the weight of my heart is finding a girl who appreciates Full House as much as me. And I love Kathryn. Moving along here. So Battleground.
Terrible.
Yep.
I think we're all unanimous in how bad that pay-per-view was.
I mean, if it was an episode of Raw... No, if it was an episode of SmackDown, it would have been fine. But, I don't know, there was one or two matches that really stuck out as being good, and the rest of them... I meandered away, I wasn't paying attention, I was hanging out with Dan, like... Normally, even if it's bad, I pay attention to it, and it didn't hold my attention at all.
Were there any matches on the card that, like, really jumped out at you? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I got a wee bit distracted halfway through the pay-per-view, and I realized that Jason's tweet got retweeted on the show, and then it was over.
Twitter exploded for me.
Yeah, that was actually the only match that I really... Like, it was the Shield versus the Rhodes family was the one match that I cared about going into the show, and it was the one match that really, like, held my attention. It was something that I was really looking forward to, and it didn't let me down. Everything else, give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was the best Raw that I had to pay for.
Really?
In certain regards, I guess. I mean, I don't know. That's up to debate.
Yep.
I love the fact, though, that the World Heavyweight Championship opened the event was like, you're not getting a cash in. Hell, you're barely even going to get a match tonight.
Yeah. And it was barely a hardcore rules match. Like, I'm spoiled. I watch a lot of CZW. So, like, clearly there's a difference between the style of matches. But, like, they didn't use tables. They didn't, like, do a lot of stuff. They used a ladder for a while, and they used a chair. Like, what else did they do?
Well, like, way to utilize, like, a superstar like RVD by not having these big spots in a match that totally... The fact that RVD got beat by a chair really just... I don't know, like, I was reading earlier, like, RVD's reasons, or WWE's reasons for RVD leaving is he's not spiritually or emotionally there. Like, really? That's the equivalent of HBK saying he lost his smile.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the cross arm breaker through the chair was unique. I hadn't seen him do that before. So that was the one part of that match that I did enjoy. But my favorite part to make fun of was when the entire crowd was chanting, "We want tables," because that's what they've been programmed to chant. And then they like pulled out the chair, like, "Yes, we will use the chair," and everybody cheered, like, "Yes, that's what we wanted." No, it wasn't.
Because they did that kind of half step.
So much like they were doing something that it was a big deal.
I mean, there were a few spots in that match that I thought were great if it was a wrestling match, but it was a hardcore match. That was the difference.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you, like, if you're gonna book it, like, if you're gonna book a hardcore match, book it as a hardcore match. Don't be like, all right, guys, you're a hardcore match. Do as many spots as you can without using any weapons.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that got us some buy rates. Let's have a hardcore match and not do anything definitively hardcore.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everyone's chanting for Sandow. Like, it kind of blew my mind that it's like, okay, Sandow's in the the pre-show match, and then that's how I knew he wasn't going to cash in. Because I'm like, all right, you totally sold this like knee injury with Sandow, and then you went right into the World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, he's not going to cash in.
Yeah. I mean, if that match were at any other point of the card, then there would have been more of a, oh my God, is he going to cash in? But like, you can't. The fact that he opened the show did the pre-show, and then like that was the first match on the actual card. It was just like you said, like you knew right away that he wasn't going to cash it in. And that was one of the things I was hoping to see, because I thought maybe that would give the pay-per-view a reason for me to like it.
Well, I thought we were going for unpredictability here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how that got booked the way. Meanwhile, Khali and Santino against the Real Americans was like one of the third to last matches.
I walked away from that one. I came upstairs and did some dishes and then went back downstairs to watch it. Yeah, so I missed almost the entire match because I had no interest in it. I wanted to see the giant swing, but then they showed it 4 more times and then did it on Raw, so I didn't miss anything.
Well, even speaking of Raw, like, Ziggler and Sandow was a match on Raw. Like,
yeah,
I don't quite like what separates a pay-per-view or like a YouTube like opening match from a typical Raw match or SmackDown or main event.
Yeah, the majority of the matches on Raw were rematches from the night before, which is fine if something had happened in that match that warranted a rematch. But
well, that's did. Like, again, you're having people pay $60 to watch a pay-per-view only to get the same match with the same, like Ziggler won on Raw. Like, okay, so why did you book it for like the opening match of a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Jason, did anything stand out about the pay-per-view to you? Because I know for the most part, a lot of people walked away disappointed.
Yeah, it feels like they put together half a pay-per-view and then realized, like, the Friday before, fuck, we got, 3 more matches we need to throw in here, and it kind of feels like we're getting half a pay-per-view at Hell in the Cell, so it's like, I don't know, it falls somewhere in between. Like, if you stuck the 2, maybe you'd have a decent pay-per-view.
Well, again, why do we have 2 pay-per-views in 1 month? Like, I know based on Raw with Cena returning allegedly or definitely, and then you have HBK as a special rep, like, do they know they fucked up in the past 3 pay-per-views, or is this one of those, like, all right, we're trying to merit the fact that we're shortchanging a lot of our fans and by asking them to pay the $60 for 2 pay-per-views in 1 month?
I think they're just shorthanded on, like, good talent.
I think they have good talent that they aren't using in smart ways.
Good talent, but enough to draw people to the pay-per-views.
I think if they had the storylines to back them up, then yes. But they've put so much focus and committed so much time of the product to, the main Triple H storyline that the other people are just kind of there. Yeah. And they either don't have a storyline and are just getting thrown into matches like the Sandow-Ziggler match or the Real Americans Great Khali match. Like, none of those came from a storyline. Those were just thrown in because they didn't have anything to do with them.
Yeah.
Well, and those are talent. Ziggler is someone people will buy pay-per-views for. They've proven that. And I know that they've been upset with him lately. But to throw him in the pre-show and give Ziggler away for free seems a little unwise.
It seems a little myopic in the sense that you're shortchanging a talent that just a few months prior was the world heavyweight champion, with the exception of like the concussion incident. But it makes you wonder, even if he didn't suffer the concussion, would he still be holding on to that title belt right now?
Yeah.
I have to imagine.
Yeah, even I'm just upset that they really did nothing with the two of them. Because, Sandow has the briefcase, but Dolph Ziggler had that briefcase 6 months ago. Like, why not use that to boost both of them? Have Ziggler yell at Sandow and make him prove that he's good enough to have the briefcase because he just had it and he's never going to live up to him. Something. Like, that takes 5 minutes, and then you have a storyline, and then you're invested in the match. When you have no investment in it, then you don't care about it.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't care about Ryback and CM Punk. I love CM Punk. I'm a mark for CM Punk. I didn't even really pay attention to the match.
Yeah.
Me either.
Because, again, I've seen it before. I saw it last year. And it was funny because I almost had to remind myself that CM Punk and Ryback had a rivalry last year when Punk was heel and Ryback was the face.
I totally forgot.
See, but you're recycling rivalries from a year ago, but there's nothing there. There's, no substance to it.
Yeah. And then once again, I feel like that is a rivalry that even though it's, like you said, they did it a year ago, they started on this kind of other storyline with the two of them. I think making Ryback a Heyman guy is a great idea, but it was so rushed and so awkward that to immediately put Punk and Ryback in this match and expect it to work and people to be invested just didn't happen.
I also resent the fact that Ryback is the reason why I was accused of being a homophobe on Twitter. I'm sorry, but this is my big, beautiful Ryback. It was a little awkward for me.
Yeah.
For the record, too, motherfuckers, I was a giant Rico fan, okay? I loved Billy and Chuck and Rico, so don't even go there with me.
Oh, man. My favorite part about that was when Coleman slipped and called him Broback.
Oh, man.
And so it's all right, either that's Brokeback Mountain for Heyman and Ryback, or it's the next tag team for Zack Ryder.
I'm not losing faith in Celtic Broskies, but Broback would just be phenomenal.
Well, I do love Celtic Broskies.
I think that's 978276948. Can we get a petition going for Broback?
The one really good part about the pay-per-view was the Shield Rhodes family match.
Yeah.
It was like I said, it was the one I was invested in going into it, and it didn't disappoint. I thought, the ending with Dusty Rhodes and Dean Ambrose, I thought that was hilarious. That was a good way to involve the two of them. Still upset that Dean Ambrose wasn't actually in a match.
And again, though, but, does that work against Dean Ambrose? Because here's another guy. You know he's going to break away from the Shield eventually, but not having him in singles competition, does that hurt him? Does that hurt his value in the company?
And I'm not sure if it does, because he's proven himself to be an excellent wrestler, and people that do know him from the before times, then, we know who he is and we know where he's going. But, it's just a disappointment because like Ziggler, he's one of those guys that I will go out of my way to buy or watch a pay-per-view for. So, yes, he got a little bit involved at the end, but to not have him on the card as a main player is disappointing. I mean, we don't know, if there was something going on with him and, he wasn't really involved, but I don't know. It was a disappointment.
Well, I think it's funny you say that because I seem to remember in days of yore, back in the day, WWF, WWE pay-per-views, if you had a guy who you would talk to somebody oh, why did you pay that person the pay-per-view? Because I wanted to see this one match with this one guy. The fact that you feel that way about Ambrose is huge to me because it shows that he definitely has potential to get asses in the seats. He has potential to draw buy rate.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a few guys on the roster that I would say I would go out of my way to watch pay-per-views for, and that would be, Ziggler, it would be Ambrose, it would be Daniel Bryan. And then clearly, some of the other guys I would, but those are the three that aren't, the very top that I would watch a pay-per-view for, regardless of what the other matches were.
Now, that's my thing now is Orton Bryan, where do we stand with that match? Because by now, I'm over it.
I called the finish.
Yeah.
I know you did. I know, but that's the thing. Are we unique because Jason called the finish and we do a podcast and it's we're the Nostradamus of fucking WWE? Or is it just that obvious how pay-per-views will end now?
I don't know. That's a good
Well,
question.
I think the way that it's been for the last couple of pay-per-views is a little bit more obvious because now it's a running thing where they haven't finished the match and I don't know. It's one of those, the first couple of times, all right, whatever, but now it's just getting aggravating.
Yeah. Well, I was actually very happy when Jason corrected me because I was oh yeah, it's the dangerous game now. That was the bourbon auto-correcting me. The deadly game. I mean, at the time it was unique because it almost seemed innovative. Would you want, as an Attitude fan, Jason, would you want to go through that again?
I would. If it was the entire roster, I think it'd be fun to whittle down to 2 guys.
Well, I mean, let's keep in mind too, there's the potential of you do a tournament where, I mean, back when that happened, Al Snow and Gilbert and Jeff Jarrett, if guys like Zack Ryder or, Tyson Kidd were involved in the tournament match.
I'm fine with that. I mean, I think even WCW at one point did a 30-guy or 100-guy tournament, and it wound down to be Chris Benoit and Brett at the finals, and it was an awesome match and an awesome tournament. I think that's fun. It gets the whole roster involved. You got something you can work off of television. It doesn't have to be just at the pay-per-view. You can do, qualifying matches leading into the pay-per-view.
Well, and then people are always gonna, people are like NCAA football. People are gonna be watching for the upsets. So then you can throw the little surprise matches in there. When Ryder upsets someone, when Tyson Kidd upsets someone, the little matches that you don't expect to go anywhere. You start rooting for the underdog, even though you know it's going to make it.
Yeah.
Well, think of it this way too. I mean, back in the day when you had the King of the Ring or Survivor Series, the qualifying matches also took place on Sunday Night Heat. Now, if you were able to utilize Raw, even main event, now how many viewers do you think you'd get for main event if there was a qualifying match on main event?
I think it would depend who was in the match, but there's people that regularly watch main event anyways, and I think it would get more viewers if you know that there was people competing that you were invested in. Even if it was a squash match, if they put, I mean, not that they ever would, but if they ever put John Cena versus, I don't know, Heath Slater on main event, then people are going to watch it just because, there is a bigger name guy, even if you know he's going to win in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, how interesting would it be, though? I mean, even though it'd be pretty predictable from this vantage point, if John Cena, again, say Heath Slater on main event, and it's a match that's taped before the actual Raw SmackDown, I think it'd be cool because then, you keep someone like Cena off a Raw SmackDown unless it's in more of a talking promo role, and you save the actual match for a show like that.
Yeah, or he would wrestle twice. I mean, when I went and they did main event and Saturday Morning Slam and SmackDown, the Shield wrestled 3 different matches.
Is that overkill, though? I mean, that's the thing. is it more special when it's like it's exclusive to a particular event?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I think it would be more special, but they would be able to, I mean, they're going to use people like John Cena as many times as possible. So if he has to wrestle 3 times in a night, he'll wrestle 3 times in a night.
Yeah.
So where do we stand with the big sob after the main event at Battleground right now?
Dumbfounded.
Yeah, I don't understand why they did it. I understood the first couple of times why they ended with the everything. I just don't understand why they're continuing with this thing unless they're leading to some sort of tournament or some sort of other issue. I mean, there's stuff that hasn't been addressed yet in terms of it. Why did Stephanie tell Big Show to knock out Bryan? Yada, 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 if he knew he was going to be disqualified. I mean, I'm most excited to see what comes from the main event of Raw. Because, since we're talking about Raw and everything, like, just the fact that Big Show did get to the Shield, did get past the Shield to Triple H and knocked out Triple H. Is there going to be repercussions for the Shield because they didn't protect Triple H? Because that's been their job for the last couple of months.
Could there be implications of someone in the family, be it Vince, Linda, or Shane, coming back to back the Big Show?
Yeah, there would have to be somebody there on that side.
Yeah.
He needs someone, and it can't be like a locker room member or an agent. He would need someone within the family, within the hierarchy of WWE to come in and back.
Right.
I'll even go as far to say John Laurinaitis, because
I was just thinking the same thing. People power.
Nobody will cheer him, though.
They did keep in with quote-unquote continuity in terms of mentioning his ironclad contract, which Laurinaitis allegedly gave him.
Right. And they've talked around it and said, oh, you know, it doesn't really exist. But if I know I would probably have a moment if he came out and was like, boom, it is ironclad. Take that. And then, like you said, no one would ever cheer John Laurinaitis. But it would be really funny to see people try not to cheer him. Because that's what they'd have to do.
Here's another scenario that is way just out there, and I realize that JR retiring is a real thing. Mm-hmm. Whether it was at the behest of WWE or it was his own private individual decision, even if JR came out and backed the Big Show.
Yeah.
I mean, I mark out for JR no matter the situation.
Exactly.
But yeah. I mean, they could have anybody come out and do it. And
not just anybody, though, because if the Big Show, if this is like his face turn, like if this is like we're supposed to get behind the underdog the way we did Ryan, and Big Show's obviously, he's a giant who has his hands tied.
Right.
He needs a vocal piece to back him to the point where it'd be the equivalent of when Paul Bearer returned on Raw and he came out with Kane.
Yeah.
Probably would have gotten a pop because he was going after DX and the McMahon Helmsley, regime. Mm-hmm. The fact that Paul Bearer came in and led Kane down the ramp was what made that a mark out moment. Now, if you have someone do something similar with Big Show, that's what's going to put Big Show totally over in terms of, all right, Big Show's here. He's technically not hired within the company, kayfabe or whatever. We need someone that could totally sell Big Show as like, all right, he's the rejuvenated giant. He's coming back to take what's his.
Or they could have Big Show come back, and then he'd need legal representation. So then they'd have to use David Otunga.
Oh, shit.
And you know what, though? David Otunga has not been on TV for so long. Would not be surprised if that's what happens.
I miss the bow tie and the coffee cup.
I won't lie to you.
I've been waiting for him to make an appearance this whole time. And if he came back with Big Show as his legal representation and tried to be a good guy, I would be amused.
I won't lie to you. Like, I appreciate David. I've never been like a huge fan. I would laugh and get so giddy if he came out and was like, well, I was going through this ironclad contract of his. You can't do this.
Especially since he was with Laurinaitis when the contract was made. So, I mean, it would still tie back to that continuity we were talking about.
Now, either the product really sucks or I've had to change it. The product really sucks or I've had to change it apart when I'm actually rooting for John Laurinaitis to make a comeback.
Oh, goodness. But, I mean, while we're talking about Raw and what works and what doesn't work, I mean, I'd kind of like to throw out the idea there of I really hate the announce team. I mean, I was watching Raw, and I was so aggravated just by, I mean, I felt like Michael Cole was trying to do his job. He's being the straight man, whatever. And Jerry Lawler and JBL annoy me to no end. I swear to God, I felt like I was watching dodgeball. Like, one guy was being serious, and the other two were just going off onto tangents and, like, talking about things that I don't even know what they were talking about anymore. It was unrelated.
It's an menage a trois. But yeah, you gotta pay extra for that, Cotton.
Yeah. Oh, man. And then, especially since, like, tonight, it's Wednesday, I was watching Main Event, and this sounds unlikely, but I was watching Josh Matthews, who used to do SmackDown, and Alex Riley, and they did a really good job. They were a good combination. They weren't necessarily, you know, faces. They weren't necessarily heels. They weren't, I mean, Alex Riley is a little bit of a good guy now, which is a little weird for my brain to acknowledge still. But, you know, they were talking about the match. When they went off into tangents, they were talking about different moves. They're explaining different things. It was the first time I heard anybody explain why Big E uses all the chalk in his entrance. Like, things that, you know, some people know, but a lot of people don't know or don't understand. And, like, they were actually talking about things. It was, like, it's hard to watch that and then watch Raw and be like, oh, well, I totally understand why they had those three guys on the main show, because they're not doing a good job anymore.
I think it's almost because it's just kind of become a gag to them.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily a job as much as, because that's the thing, the announce team is who's going to sell a rivalry.
Right.
If the announce team kind of thinks that a storyline or a rivalry is bad, well, you're not, as a fan, you're not supposed to be in on that. You're supposed to have them sell it for you.
Right. I feel like they've been burying a lot of stuff lately that has ruined things. And just, you know, if they go off into a tangent for 20 minutes about something else instead of talking about the match, that's not helping the company build up to these pay-per-views.
However, I will disagree because JBL selling the Great Khali as the Punjabi master made me giggle like an asshole.
I mean, it's getting to the point where I don't mind JBL as much. Maybe it's because he's been doing so many other shows. Jerry Lawler is way past his prime, if there ever was one. And
I think it's almost like the King is like complacent with where he's at because they can't get rid of him.
Right. I mean, it's one thing when he's being inappropriate and talking with the divas and being creepy Jerry Lawler, and it's another when he's going out of his way to ruin matches. And that's what I feel like he's doing now.
Well, I mean, how cute or like how long can the novelty last? So like the King, when he's clearly he's so much older than a lot of the superstars in the roster.
Yeah.
That like in the 90s when he would make a quip or a remark about the divas, it was kind of like, oh, Jerry Lawler. Now it's like, dude, now you've crossed that line of like creepy uncle.
Yeah, like the Divas match from Raw, you know, the debut of Eva Marie and JoJo. Like, it was painful listening to him say anything, and it's just so creepy because you're like, no, they're like 19 and 20 something. Shh, Jerry Lawler, stop it. You are old enough to maybe be their grandparent.
Well, it works better when JR was his counterpart because JR always seemed like he was the guy there with the water bottle to spray him down.
Yeah.
Like, oh, puppies. Like, calm down, Jerry.
Like a bad cat, you just want to spray him with a water bottle. Down, Jerry, down. Yeah. But I mean, Michael Cole does, I mean, I know he's unpopular with a lot of people. I really like Michael Cole. I think when you sit back and you watch what he does and you listen to the things he says, yes, he has off nights, but a lot of times he is very good. Well, I liked him as a heel. I like that they've made him neutral now because it allows him to do, you know, the product placement. I wish he would shut up about the app, but that's not his fault. And it's just, you can't have someone that good and then put two people that are, like, one person who's really terrible and one person who's getting there and expect it to work.
Well, bear in mind, too, that I feel like they buried Michael Cole in the regard that the guy knows what he's talking. He's essentially the new JR. Like, he knows what he's talking about, and he genuinely has a passion for the product and for the roster. Like,
yeah,
I hated his heel turn because it was almost just kind of like an insult to what he knows about the business.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was funny. So that's why I didn't mind his heel turn, and that was about when I started watching the product, was when he was in like the middle of his heel turn. But I mean, especially like everything after Jerry Lawler's heart attack, they had no choice but to turn him face or neutral again, and I think he does a really good job. But it's clear he, like you said, like he knows the product, he cares about the product. He doesn't have to be there. He's a fantastic news reporter. He doesn't have to be doing WWE. Like, it's not a last resort for him.
Did they really turn him, or was it really just like, oh crap, Michael Cole showing his humanity? I guess we should turn. Like,
right. Well, I know he has said that he had no choice. Like once you get acknowledged for sitting there and acknowledging something like that, and pretty much helping save his life, then it's hard to be a bad guy.
Well, I think it's also hard too because it's like the Vince McMahon versus Mr. McMahon persona. With Michael Cole, whoever he was portraying in terms of being this like really bastard of a heel, he's still Michael Cole. Like, it's not a persona, it's just who he is.
Right. I miss the coal mine.
Nobody does.
I've stated this on more than one occasion.
Oh, I liked the coal mine. It was funny because there was no top. It was supposed to protect him.
Now, in terms of the big announcement of Cena returning, where do you guys stand with that?
I'm pissed.
I'm not. You know why? Because they're making it... You're getting two things out of this. One, Cena isn't back in the WWE main title picture. It's clearly been shifted to Bryan. And you're kind of reinvigorating the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes. But I don't know. I don't know. I think the one good thing that came out of it was that people cheered Vicky Guerrero, and that is so uncommon. It never happens. Like, that moment when she, like, announced that he was returning, and there was that huge pop. We know they were popping for Cena, but it was just that reaction to Vicky. Like, it's such a weird juxtaposition that my brain exploded.
Well, bear in mind, too, I mean, that also comes with character outside of, Monday Night Raw. Vicky Guerrero seems like a really down-to-earth woman.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the fact that she's been able to play up this heel character, but at the same time, it's almost like you watch the DVDs, you've seen the interviews, and obviously she's the widow of Eddie Guerrero. She's a real down-to-earth person. Like, there's nothing pretentious about her.
Yeah.
Why not at some point play that up a bit? Because, I mean, as amazing as it is that she gives the guys in the back a run for their money, because really she hasn't done anything significant to become the heel that she is.
Yeah.
But she does it so effortlessly. She does it so well.
And it's one of those, she's really helped so many wrestlers. I know Dolph Ziggler has said in interviews, he was having a hard time getting over as a heel at the beginning. And you walk out onto a stage with Vicky Guerrero on your arm, and you can't hear what she's saying. It's so loud. So, like, just the fact that she can get that heat so quickly and has used it to help other people, like, shows you what kind of person she is and just the natural talent she has for the business.
Well, the fact, too, that, even I read that, like, they had kind of, cascaded King over making jokes about her weight.
Yeah.
The fact that she's been able to just work with it and not be like a typical diva, like, oh, they're picking on me, shows that clearly she's got an acumen for the business in terms of, like, all right, they're gonna make cracks about me. They are.
Yeah.
Will it hurt my feelings? Probably, but at the same time, I know how to work the crowd this way, and I know how to work everybody this way.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting moving forward to see how the crowd continues to react to her and where they kind of take her character from here. Because she was doing a little bit more of, the good deeds when she was general manager of Raw, and you, like, felt that sympathy for her because she's getting torn in all the different directions. And it looks like maybe they will take her complete face, and it'll be interesting to see.
Well, obviously she's invaluable in the company if Vince McMahon handpicks her and says, like, oh, she's the GM of SmackDown. Again, it's fake. It's not like a real business decision, but the fact that since Eddie Guerrero passed away, the fact that they kept her on television and in the picture is really huge to me. It shows that the company has faith in her.
Yep.
So, I mean, in terms of topics now. Shawn Michaels coming in as the guest referee for the main event, or what should be the main event, although it'll probably be Cena and Del Rio, because I can't see Cena and Del Rio not being the main event now.
I don't know. I think it would be wise of them to put Bryan in that top spot.
But against Orton again, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, you know, the first match you had, it just, the 3 pay-per-view matches they've had together have had no real definitive end to them.
This is why you're doing it. You're doing it Hell in the Cell, so there's no outside interference. Somebody's walking out of Hell in the Cell with the champion.
But that being said, though, if they only use the Hell in the Cell once in that entire pay-per-view, what's the gimmick behind it?
Yeah.
There must be a WWE champion.
Yeah. I will say I would be interested to see if Orton takes the belt. Because at this point, I'm kind of rooting for Orton, which is terrible for me. But if Orton takes the belt and Cena takes the World Heavyweight title, then you kind of run into the problem of who is the face of the company, because you have 2 champions, one who's been the face of the company for the last 10, 15 years, and one who's, like, always kind of been there. And, like, to see the clash between the 2 of them, I was hoping that it would be, you know, Cena coming back and challenging Orton for the WWE title, but if you have them both as champions and put them kind of on an equal footing, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
And does that beg the question, though? Do there need to be 2 separate championship titles, or could we unify them and get away with it?
Maybe they could head that way. If you have Orton and Cena as the 2 title, like the 2 champions, you have the World Heavyweight Champion and then the WWE Champion, why not have them battle each other? And that's an opportunity to unite them.
Maybe. But maybe now you look at this as an opportunity to, okay, on Raw we have Bryan, we have Punk. On SmackDown we can have Cena. And I think the contract for SmackDown's coming up very shortly, so they're going to want to reinvigorate that product. Why not take the number 1 guy of your company for the past 10 years and do it?
Because they've been teasing doing it for years and years and years, and they've never done it. And I have a hard time believing they're going to keep it that way. How many times did Cena get drafted to SmackDown just to be drafted right back to Raw?
I know. Maybe this was always the continuation plan. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I will say, as much as we've hated what they did at the last pay-per-view and what they did at Raw, the fact is they have opened up more possibilities. It is making us wonder where they're going, because they've done nothing right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even in Shawn Michaels' case, he comes back as the guest referee. Is there potential that he could break his own rule about being in a retirement match and actually wrestling after the retirement match?
Could.
I mean, because there is speculation that this might lead to Shawn Michaels having a return match at WrestleMania 30. If Shawn Michaels has a return match, who the hell does he have the return match against? And my pick is probably Bryan.
I'm for it. I'd love to see that.
That's the obvious teacher versus the student.
Or there's always the possibility he takes on Triple H again. Tries to put Triple H back in his place.
I think this is about setting the next generation up. If, WrestleMania 21 was about putting the next generation on the map, Cena's not going to be here much longer. Punk's probably not going to be here much longer. You need to establish who's the next guys. So
Well, that makes me wonder about Punk's future, too, because with the caliber of matches he's been having, it's almost like he doesn't care what matches he wrestles anymore because he knows he's on his way out.
And he's had a lot of losses lately. I mean, in that kind of shoot, maybe he's trying to help give guys the push. Maybe he cares about, helping Curtis Axel get better, helping the other guys get better. I will say that was a good part of Raw, was him teaming with R-Truth. That was just funny.
Well, I mean, I will read this then. Rahim Mohammed, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, isn't R-Truth...
Rahim.
Rahim. Okay, Rahim Mohammed.
I'm sorry if we butcher your name.
I'm just terrible at everything. Isn't R-Truth push imminent? And then he puts a parenthesis related. How could you not love R-Truth? I don't love R-Truth because there's nothing there. They haven't done anything. I remember, I think it was the pay-per-view when someone said, he's the token black guy of WWE. Like, let's give him the rapping gimmick.
Yeah.
He does have potential. It's just, we're never going to see it if he keeps up with his character.
He's had moments where I think he might lead somewhere. I mean, I thought the time a couple of years ago when he was teaming with The Miz, I know you guys hate The Miz, but I thought the Awesome Truth was a hilarious tag team. There were two guys that they could hand a mic to, send him to the ring, and tell him to spend 5 to 10 minutes, like, working the crowd and wasting time because they needed to do something else. Like, I thought that they were a great combination, and that was one of the times that I thought maybe R-Truth was headed somewhere. And
Okay,
the problem is that they had crazy R-Truth. They had a little Jimmy, and now all of a sudden he's fighting for belts. They tried to have him do other things with different people, but they never really closed that storyline. So is R-Truth crazy? Is there a little Jimmy? Is he a serious contender? I don't know who R-Truth is anymore. Like, I feel like I'm having, like, a midlife crisis for him, and I don't know what he's doing.
This actually pains me to admit that I actually love the pairing of The Miz with R-Truth.
Yes! Go Miz!
Well, I actually love the fact that that Hell in a Cell match ended with the two of them in the hoodie storming the ring.
Oh, yeah.
And the locker room emptying out with Triple H being held back from knocking both of them out.
Oh, and then, like, the fact, like, they did all those videos afterwards that were just hilarious. I mean, they had some of the funniest in-ring promos for me ever. Like, I just thought that they were so funny. And they worked really well together. I wish that had gone somewhere.
Well, I mean, that plays up, too, with The Miz and Christian in that promo. And to this day, it's still one of my favorite promos. Riley? Randy, Riley, Riley, Jimmy!
Oh my god, that was one of the best things ever. Oh god. And then when they were fighting Air Boom, like, they just cut the funniest promos on Air Boom ever. It's funny. I like funny tag teams because they're just amusing. Huh?
Is it too gimmicky? Because for me, what made Booker T and Goldust one of the greatest tag teams was it was very gimmicky and it was very comedic, but it worked because the chemistry was so odd, but the chemistry was obviously there.
Yeah, I think you can have the comedic duo as long as when they get in the ring, that same chemistry holds true. I thought R-Truth and The Miz had pretty good chemistry in the ring, so it was able to help hold the team together. I liked Rhodes Scholars so much because they were hilarious outside the ring, and then people would insult them, and then they would just turn into the vicious wrestlers that you knew that they were in the ring, and, like, they kept that chemistry going. I think you run into the problem when there isn't that continuity between outside the ring and inside the ring with the chemistry and the way that they act and behave.
Well, best example is Daniel Bryan and Kane. I thought that was one of the best pairings because the story behind them was so ingenious and it worked so well.
Yeah. And then when they got in the ring, you know, the fact that they had this big background of the anger management, so instead of yelling at each other, they would just beat up the other people. Like, it gave them the reason to be vicious in the ring. And I agree, that was a fantastic team, and that's why they were able to stay relevant for so long.
I mean, Jason, your thoughts on all of this? I mean, I know because you're a mark for tag teams and good tag teams with a great chemistry. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. Like, I miss the days of the Outlaws and stuff like that. Like, giving funny promos is one thing, but being goofy characters sometimes is another. I don't know.
I mean, I think it all boils down to personality and chemistry. I think if you have a good in-ring chemistry, but you have a phenomenal chemistry in terms of cutting promos, it's like the whole package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why Bull Buchanan and Big Boss Man didn't really last very long. Did I think the guys had chemistry in the ring? Absolutely, but outside the ring, like, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. In terms of, like, the tag team division, though, I mean, where do we still stand? And we still kind of in this, like, ambiguous limbo where, you know, the Shield hold on to the titles because it's not really a credible competitor for them to lose the titles to.
I feel like they're getting there. They have the teams that are building up now. The problem is that they're all in kind of side storylines. Nobody is involved with the Shield storyline, with the exception of Cody and Goldust. I think if they keep Cody and Goldust a tag team for now, I think that they could go for the Shield's titles. And they'd have a very good chance of taking them with the way that they performed at the last pay-per-view and just with the history between them. I think that would be a very believable way. But then the problem is that there's no other tag teams involved. So then you have to try to fit people together like they were doing with the Usos before, and that's when you lose the credibility.
Well, I mean, even that though, how do we feel about Cody and Goldust as a tag team as opposed to being competitors against one another?
I see it leading that way. Like, I feel like Cody and Goldust can only team together for so long. They're brothers. They're gonna get into arguments. Like, every family fights, especially siblings. So, like, for them to go in and take the gold and be like, we had this big moment together, there's so many opportunities for tension and for an argument that they could then split and turn on each other and then become competitors.
Well, then even asking that, where would Dusty Rhodes fall and all that?
In the middle.
Yeah.
He has to be. And that's a huge part of the storyline, is that he had to choose which son to bring back, and he couldn't. He didn't want to choose one or the other. So if they split up, and they start arguing and fighting each other, he's going to be stuck in the middle again.
I actually had a thought
about the ongoing Rhodes saga.
I was actually thinking the other day how you could make Cody and Goldust like start their feud, and I was like, well, make it simple. Make it Cody's given the opportunity. You can have a tag team title shot with your brother, or you can have a shot at the WWE title with, whoever the champion is.
Yeah.
But he can only pick one. So is he going to pick to tag with his brother, or is he going to go for the title himself?
I mean, that would be excellent if they take the titles from the Shield and then have Triple H or whoever's in power at the time say, Cody will give you a shot at the WWE title, but you have to, abandon your tag title and abandon your brother. Like, that's a huge angle.
They don't even have to put the belts on him. Just give him that choice.
Well, it brings up an interesting topic, because Goldust has never held a WWE. Well, with the exception of the Intercontinental and the tag team, but he's never held the WWE title specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, there's your friction right there. My younger brother has been able to do in a shorter amount of time what I could never do in like a 20 or whatever career.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's when Roddy Piper, during the Nexus John Cena feud with Wade Barrett, when Roddy Piper said, I've never held the WWE WWF title. That's why you can't, give in to Wade Barrett. I mean, because you got to figure, like, if you've had a career as impressive as Goldust has had, the fact that he wasn't afforded so many opportunities as, say, Cody could potentially be afforded is within itself a great potential for a singles match between the two.
I agree. I think there's a lot of opportunities, and because they are brothers and it's family, right now it's family versus family, and that's a huge clash. And I think that's going to be really easy for them to create a fracture, have them have a big match together. Dude, if it was Cody versus Goldust at WrestleMania, how many of us would freak out?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, because that's been building for so long, and
we've been calling for that since forever.
Especially if you make him go back to weird Goldust.
You don't like Darth Maul Goldust?
No, but I mean, like, very ominous Goldust. Yeah. Like,
I still think that match should have taken place in a pod race contest, if you ask me. Throwing that out there.
Oh, man. We have a lot more Twitter questions. Do you guys want to answer some more Twitter questions, or keep going?
No, I think we should start getting that, because we do have a contest. We have to pick a winner for it. So why don't we get to the Twitter questions right now?
Awesome. So at Williams22James, do you think WWE doesn't give John Cena credit for what he has done? And your thoughts on See No Evil 2? I haven't seen See No Evil 1, so I care about See No Evil 2 just about as much as I care about See No Evil 1. To answer that part. Yeah. I don't know. It's another WWE movie. Who cares?
It'll be on the movie channel within a week.
It'll be on Netflix. I never watch them until they're on Netflix, and then I watch them and make fun of them and then forget about them.
Sometimes
Except for Knucklehead, that one was funny.
Sometimes I feel like we should do like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 bit with WWE films.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Just the three of us in a vacant theater just watching WWE movies and like trying our best not to make fun of them.
Like I really wonder sometimes about WWE movies if they're like the sci-fi movies. Like sci-fi knows their movies are ridiculous, and that's why they make movies like Sharknado. So I wonder if WWE knows, and that's why they make movies like The Chaperone.
I almost feel like they take it too seriously. Like they really feel like they're a legitimate film company.
Oh God. The first half of the question, I think John Cena doesn't get credit from the WWE for things he's done. I mean, I think the fact that he's been the face of the company for so long answers that question for you. I think John Cena is respected. If you talk like a lot of wrestlers in interviews, even if they hate John Cena, go out of their way to say what kind of person he is and the different things that he's done. They've given him a lot of credit about teaming up with Susan G. Komen and about how that was his idea. So I think he does get credit for what he's done, and I think it's well-deserved. As much as I don't like the guy in the ring, it's pretty clear that he does a lot out of the ring, and it's hard to...
Well, I think it's a question that's being asked because this guy was originally given 4 to 6 months to recover, and he's done, 2 to 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, there was news on the dirt sheets that maybe they knew right away that his tricep wasn't as bad as it was as soon as he went for surgery, and they decided to keep it at the 6 months so they could have this big surprise. But, I mean, he's done it with every injury. He's always said, I'll be out 3 months and he's back in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and I think they respect him for that as much as... And, I mean, it's hard not, even as a fan who doesn't really like him, it's hard not to respect the fact that he puts his body on the line almost every night for the company, regardless of how he's feeling.
Well, this is actually the main question I want to get to, is now that Cena is returning at Hell in a Cell, who takes his spot in the Royal Rumble? Because that was a big deal, was that him and Sheamus were supposed to be the big surprise entrance. Do you have any ideas as to who might fill Cena's spot now that it's been vacated and you have one open spot for the Royal Rumble?
I mean, there's a lot of people that would be nice to see in the Royal Rumble. Honestly, I hope they take the opportunity to push Sheamus again. There's been a lot of talk about what to do with him when he comes back. They've been repackaging some other guys. They're repackaging Wade Barrett. They're repackaging Drew McIntyre, supposedly. I mean, it'd be really awesome to see the three of them come back and do something together. And if they can repackage them and have them out for WrestleMania and give them a huge, not WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and give them that big push then, I'd be all for it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's another idea, too, is the fact that you do have the Hall of Fame prior to WrestleMania. You do have these big stories, Jake the Snake's over, Ultimate Warrior, as a spokesperson for WWE 2K14.
Yep.
Is there a chance that you could see a potential Warrior or Jake the Snake return?
Definitely.
I think it's always a possibility.
Yeah, but I feel like there's more stock in it now because these are two guys that you never thought would be back in the good graces of the WWE again. The fact that the spokesperson and one has received so much, and I mean, good for him. Like, he has made such a turnaround in his life. Is there a good chance that in sort of like a, hey, remember this guy, that one of these guys could come out and almost be an excellent catalyst for this is why you need to watch the Hall of Fame this year?
It can lead into it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think it's stronger than ever.
Right. I mean, it's definitely a possibility, and it's one that I think would be great. I just personally feel like there's guys on the roster right now that could use that push, and why not throw them in?
No, I agree. I'm just saying, though, in terms of like something like that, I mean, you've had guys that deserve a push, or you have guys that deserve a return, like a Shelton Benjamin who got overlooked for The Godfather, who was out in that match in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So, in terms of WWE not giving John Cena credit, I think they give him a lot of credit. And I think that's why they kind of lean on him so much, is because they know that if he's well enough to wrestle, and he's not 100%, if they asked him, hey, John, would you do this, he would still do it regardless.
I think the fact that they haven't relied on him so much in the last couple of months and let him take the time off to heal actually says a lot about how they feel about him, because they haven't said, hey, John, we need you to come and wrestle. They've let him go and have his peace and do what he needs to do and take care of himself, because they know that they need him to come back and be 100%.
All right, I do want to get to this one. Paul Sweat at Y2 Stump In honor of Battleground, what's the worst pay-per-view you've ever seen?
ECW December to Dismember.
The one with the Elimination Chamber?
Yep.
Where the crowd was literally chanting TNA?
Yep. And you knew 2 matches going in, and the rest were thrown together that day. It was terrible.
Oh, no.
What?
No, I'm just, like, that just sounds terrible. It sounds dreadful.
Yeah, I would advise you to, if you want punishment, go watch that.
It's terrible. I can't say what the worst pay-per-view I've ever seen is. We all know I'm a new fan, and even though I've been watching wrestling for like 5 years now, I've only started watching pay-per-views in the last couple of months because I'm broke and cheap.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Slammiversary in Boston probably up there.
It was okay.
I mean, December to Dismember is definitely probably my number one with a bullet, but Slammiversary is pretty damn close.
Oh, goodness. I like this one from @Michaels_Sears. Do you think WWE will buy TNA, or would TNA just go downhill till it goes away? I feel like they're going to let it go under. They need to bury it.
Dixie Carter is way too proud to have Vince McMahon buy out her share of that company.
Yeah.
It's not up to her, though. It is actually up to her parents, who are, I guess, talking to people now. Or at least letting it be known, like, to anybody that could afford it, that it's available.
I mean, I think there's the possibility that somebody else will buy it, but will WWE buy it? I feel like the answer is no. They don't want to take on all the wrestlers. They don't want to take on it. They have 3 programs as it is, plus pay-per-views, plus everything else they're working on. I mean, if they buy TNA, I feel like they'll just shut it down.
I think Spike TV will buy it, honestly.
Really?
Yep.
Think so?
It makes the most sense for everything. Because I've heard interviews where it helps out with the lead into their like MMA show. I forget who they are. And I don't know, it just makes sense. They can, I want to see it actually go, take the whole show, set it up at Center Stage in Atlanta, which was the site of all the WCW tapings and stuff like that. Like, whenever they would do, 30 episodes of, I don't know, WCW Saturday Night, that was the place. Like, Atlanta's like a wrestling town. You can fill it with fans. They need to embrace their southern roots.
Here's another question for you. Is there potential for Dana White to purchase TNA?
I don't think he wants to get involved. It's not his game. I don't think.
I mean, again, I agree with you, but I still feel like, as a businessman, there's still a lot to accumulate in terms of, capital. If he were to just be like, screw it, I don't know much about wrestling, but then I can hire and pay people to know what they're doing with wrestling.
It's possible.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's almost as good as Rob Hasco. Is Zack Ryder going to be traded to TNA for future considerations? I mean, he could, but I don't know what he'd stand to gain from it.
I think they would only do that if, they were going to ditch him completely. If they trade him to TNA, that's just a death sentence for his career.
I've never heard of a talent being traded away, though.
If it was a possibility.
If they didn't, terminate his contract, they're just like, yeah, take Zack Ryder.
I mean, like they do it with other sports, they could try doing it with wrestling, I guess. If there was someone on TNA that they really wanted, they could try offering a bunch of money and Zack Ryder, I guess.
I hate to say it, but Zack Ryder is the Tim Tebow of wrestling. I'm just throwing that out there. I like this one, James Williams. If you could put together your dream WrestleMania card, what would you book for matches? We could do this for days.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we talking current roster or all time roster? Can we just do current roster for right now so I don't feel left out?
I mean, he didn't specify. I'm more or less working within the now, which is, I still think John Cena Undertaker could be potentially a huge match. I think Rock versus Rock 2 would be a huge match. I think Triple H versus Bryan, or Triple H versus or Shawn Michaels versus Bryan with Triple H as the referee would be a big match. It begs the question, like, where does Punk fall in that? Because I think Punk needs to main event at WrestleMania. Who could you put against Punk?
The obvious answer. It's still the obvious answer in my mind. I will give up on it after this year.
It's going with Austin Punk. I mean, if it hasn't been in the works yet, then it's never going to happen.
But you don't know that it isn't. You know what I mean?
I think Austin wants it, but I don't think Austin wants it in the sense that if it's not a guaranteed main event, then Austin's not going to take it.
I think it would be the guaranteed main event. But
well, could it not be? If you're going to have Steve Austin return from such a lengthy sabbatical from the ring, if you gave him anything other than the main event, it would be insulting.
Right.
The fact that we heard rumblings of Austin and Triple H says there's probably something there that we don't see. You know, they're probably trying to throw you off. You won't see it. How you want to talk about surprise Royal Rumble appearances? There you go.
Well, here's my thing too. Of all the interviews on the Thy Kingdom Come DVD, where was Austin?
Yeah.
Not even stock footage of Austin talking about Triple H's career.
I feel like the Stone Cold thing's never going to happen. And if I look at the current roster and I think about who I would want to team Punk up with, I mean, clearly it would take a lot of storyline building to get them to either person, but I feel like Punk versus Ziggler could be a great matchup. Punk versus Bryan. Put some of the guys that are known for, the wrestling technique, and just, there's some guys on the roster that are just excellent to watch, that are excellent technically. Bryan, Ziggler, Ambrose, Punk, like, if you combine those four guys in some way, I would probably buy every pay-per-view 6 times over.
Yeah. Even Punk versus Triple H, I think, you'd get another bite at the apple with.
I don't know. That doesn't seem fresh and exciting to me.
Not right now. But neither did the Undertaker thing until it's presented to you and you're like, wait a minute, you know what? There's actually something to this.
Tell anybody else just so Triple H can have a female CM Punk.
Well, that's the thing. Undertaker and Punk only work, if you ask me, because Paul Bearer passed away.
Yeah. Like, it sounds really terrible, but I agree. Like, that match had nothing going for it other than the fact it was Punk and Undertaker.
Yeah. Until
Paul Bearer passed away.
Vaughn Esper Jr., since it's Eddie Guerrero's birthday, what's your favorite Eddie Guerrero match? I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of have to go with Eddie Guerrero, JBL at Judgment Day.
Yeah.
That was such a huge match that, I mean, in terms of Eddie Guerrero's career, not just telling all the other great matches he had, I think that was like, head and shoulders above most of what I've seen from him.
Yeah, that's up there. I don't know. Him and Brock was awesome, pretty awesome. Him and Angle that year. I don't know. That was his year. Like, he was on fire.
All right, let's get to it. Michael Sears, worst gimmick or gimmicks of all time? Shock me.
Those Matadores.
Miz.
Hey. Jerk. Love the Miz. Is anyone else kind of upset with Los Matadores like I am?
I don't know if I'm upset with them.
I mean, like, I guess I should have seen it coming that they were going to be so ridiculous. But I feel like if they're going to be that ridiculous and then you put them up against 3MB, all you're doing is bearing 3MB further, which I guess if you're getting rid of Drew, you can do. But, like, you could have the ridiculous tag team versus the ridiculous tag team and finally have someone 3MB could, like, kind of, I don't know, have interest in as opposed to just jobbing to people all the time. Like, what is Los Matadores going to accomplish?
Tag team champions.
Yeah, dude, they're just filler. I mean, that's why I don't take it seriously. They're just filler. It's a repackaged tag team that didn't really sell themselves as a typical tag team. I mean, Rosa Mendez, that was that tag team.
Yeah.
So,
they had the chance to, they brought them down, they repackaged them, they brought them back up, and that's what they came up with? I mean, okay, if they were going to be bullfighters, that's one thing. But then they've just made it absurd, and then they gave them a midget in a bull costume with airbrushed abs. Like, where are they going with it?
Who I'm still not convinced whether or not that's not Rey Mysterio. Just throwing that out there.
He's wearing a mask.
978-276-9418 at MO Commentary. Looking forward to your questions. We did have a contest. I feel like we should get around to this before we wrap up the show.
We probably should.
So I own the Attitude Era DVD. It's in my closet. It, as far as I know, it was in perfect working condition. I bought it at Walmart when it first came out. I was really disappointed with it. But we need listeners. Therefore, I've decided to give it away to a random Twitter follower / listener who knew the secret word of the day, which was quote unquote continuity. All right, so I'm taking my hat off. Can't see it or hear it, but I'm taking my hat off.
What kind of hat is it? Sombrero?
I wish it was a sombrero. I wish I had a hat made of nachos. This is a very expensive Boston Bruins cap, which I bought from Newberry Comics. Shameless plug.
Nice.
So you can go the name. I suppose this is how I'm doing this. I'm just going to pick a name out of a hat, and then we're going to contact you, and you get a DVD from my closet, and possibly a half-used stick of deodorant. If that is your thing. All right. Let's see here. Hold on.
I feel like we need a drum roll or something.
Well, that's what I'm waiting for, you jackass. All right, I have literally, while I've been doing the show, I've been writing down your Twitter handles in my hat. So, and I'm gonna butcher this name. It's Ariel Alcantrillo. Congratulations! I can't pronounce your name, and you get a DVD out of my closet. I'm sure you're very flattered.
We'll message you and let you know what's.
We'll get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Ariel, if you would like a DVD from Eddie's closet, and it will probably reek of Marlboro Lights and bad cologne. Huzzah! You get a free DVD! Yay!
Tell your friends.
God.
We had talked since it was J60 wanted to do this. It was Kathryn wanted to do this every week, or Jason wanted to do this every week.
I was just wondering what the deal was, because you started it without me.
Well, yeah, I mean, literally, there's only so many items I barely own, so. Unless you want a flannel shirt that reeks of tobacco, yay!
We'll revisit this. I've got some goodies, but we'll go broke fast if we're giving something out. Not, unless you own a business and would like to donate to us for sponsorship.
That's telling, impoverished Africans, you're going to go broke fast. We already are broke, sir.
Yes.
Haven't paid our automatic bill yet. So, Ariel, you're the... Yay!
Yay! Congratulations! It's special.
I can barely breathe or talk, considering that I'm dying of the bird flu, but DVD, complimentary bird flu to come with.
We'll make sure that we wipe down the DVD from all of his germs before we send it to you.
We are going to Febreze the shit out of that. I guarantee the tobacco smoke will be resilient. If you're not a smoker, congratulations, Ariel. You get a DVD and you get a new addiction. So, Big Tobacco wins. Yay!
Secondhand smoke not included.
I feel like that should have been in the guidelines. Like, if you do win something from Eddie's Closet, you will be addicted to Marlboro Lights.
That gonna get us in trouble with somebody.
Kathryn, I literally was on Twitter for all of 5 seconds Sunday, and I already pissed somebody off. So, I mean, it's inevitable.
I don't piss people off, but I think Scotty Slade is upset that I don't like his music selection. So, we'll call it good.
We'll have to do a bit with Scotty Slade where he comes on the show and hangs out with me, and we improve his music selection. Which means there's going to be a lot more Mariah Carey and Celine Dion in that man's selection.
Oh, goodness. He might get enough of that from Sherman.
Him too. I mean, we got a lot of potential for people to show up in my house and rummage through my closet and find dirty things and want to listen to Janet Jackson. So I'm okay with that.
Oh, goodness.
And
what do you think, boys? Are we wrapping up?
I'd say so, because I literally, the longer we do the show, the more crappy I sound. But I'm underwater. I'm in a fish tank, so you probably can't notice this. I'm in a fish tank of NyQuil right now. Just all NyQuil, all day. So, I mean, is there any other thoughts that you guys have before we wrap up the show?
Not this week. I'll probably be live tweeting Bound for Glory. I think that's 2 weeks out, so I don't know if any of you plan to join me.
If I join you, it will just end in total disaster.
Awesome.
I don't even know what it is.
That's the TNA WrestleMania equivalent, I guess.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah. I didn't.
At least I'm the agreeable host on this show. I'll do it. It'll suck, but I'll still do it.
No, I guess in indie wrestling news, I'm going to a bunch of shows again. I've been to a bunch of shows.
You at an indie show? Never.
I know, right? Jason thinks I have an addiction, and that is a problem. But really, it's the only thing that gets me out of my house. So, suck it.
I bringing this up, I am being told against my own free will, I'm being dragged to House of Hardcore.
Oh, against your free will?
Well, no. What I want to do is I want to do a series of YouTube videos entitled My Road Trip with Kathryn.
I'm so excited. Because we'll just blast to 90s music and then just freak out, and it's going to be exciting.
You're going to get more Ace of Base, ladies and gentlemen, than you will actual facts about wrestling.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's probably not going to have any wrestling information in it. It's just going to be the two of us in a car driving to New York and back, and may or may not stop in Rhode Island on the way home.
Well, the following questions will be asked. A, did Doug Funny actually score with Patty Mayonnaise? And the second, is Ace of Base's All That She Wants really about her being a hooker, or that she really did, in seriousness, want another baby? If you would like to answer these hard-hitting questions at MO Commentary 978-276-9418, read our blog, marksonblogging.blog.com, which I haven't contributed to in fucking forever.
Yeah, I need to put something up there, too. Poor Jason. We keep yelling at Jason because he doesn't write anything, and he's the only one who's contributed lately.
I'm trying. And, as always, I got some more video ideas coming soon.
Awesome.
We got the bottom scroll of a WWE pay-per-view, so yes. Jason has his job.
I was psyched.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I feel like such an underachiever now, because, Eddie made the WWE app, and then... Yeah, but I have my own Twitter, but the things I tweet aren't necessarily good things for them to be scrolling at the bottom. Unless they always show comments about how tight people's trunks are, in which case they'll show my tweets all the time.
Kathryn, she loves the... here's the thing. Kathryn got asked out to go to WrestleMania 30. Now, here's my advice to you, good sir. If you wear tight trunks, it might seal the deal.
It was like one of the Sure Maniacs tweeted me on Monday and was like, why aren't you watching the Red Sox game? I was like, because I only watch contact sports and preferably with tight pants. Wrestling, football, and then hockey doesn't have tight pants, but I like contact sports. I'm a girl. It happens.
I watch Red Sox.
Psh, loser.
I
worked for them.
A League of Their Own. That's as far as they go with sports.
Sandlot?
Unless Tom Hanks is coaching the Red Sox, I know nothing of what's going on.
That's fine. If you like the Red Sox or you hate the Red Sox, you're welcome to tweet me on Mark's on Commentary page.
If you're a Patriots fan, tweet me because I'm all over that.
If you like feelings and poetry and drinking a fine bourbon and posting songs from the 90s, preferably of the Ace of Base persuasion. What was at Thrift Store Stage? That's right, I still have a Twitter.
Eddie, you can't use the podcast as your personal ad anymore. You have a girlfriend.
Hey, man, I'm just saying, I like feelings in Ace of Base.
You have a girlfriend, he has a fiance. Where does that leave me?
You going on a date to WrestleMania 30?
What tight trunks? I'm not even going to call this guy his real name. I'm just going to call him Tight Trunks from now on.
I'm going to throw it out. You need to put yourself out there to Mark Sherman to be the official towel girl.
So nobody's going to know what you're talking about because that was before the show started.
Maybe I will insert here.
And no, just no.
I might be
so awkward now.
I would love to be Mark Sherman's towel girl.
Eddie is offering to be Mark Sherman's towel girl.
True, and I will come in full Piranha Man gear.
can I just explain real quick because it was before the show? They're harping on this because I said I finally got 2 hugs from Mark Sherman when I went to a show Saturday. I got a before hug, which was oily, and an after hug, which was really sweaty. And apparently they took that as I would like to towel Mark Sherman down in my free time.
Sweaty and oily. Take notes, take notes. If you want to take Kathryn on a date, Rosemary, you have to be oily and sweaty.
Think merchandise. Like, you can get, like, a box of towels and wipe Mark Sherman down, and we can sell them on our website as sweaty Mark Sherman towels.
Or you're just going to leave out Scotty Slade? He threw a wrist tape at me. I could probably sell that.
Wrist tape.
All right, here's the deal. 978-276-9418. Mark Sherman or Scotty Slade?
Uh-oh.
Can we...
We can't get them into an argument. They already had a fight about a dance-off this week.
Uh-oh.
Well, you know what? Shit. I wasn't here for that interview, so I want a personal one-on-one Matt Lauer interview. Can we profit off your sweat and oil?
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I feel like I have to warn them now to not listen to our podcast anymore.
No, I just want people, random listeners, to go tweet them. Like, hey, man, where can I get your sweaty towel from?
I could be worse, Kathryn. I could have asked for their jockstrap, which I will now. Your oily jockstrap.
Oh, God. It's frightening. Can I just say that last week I went to a show where I ended up sitting behind Mark Sherman's mom, and she told me she listened to the podcast that they were on. So we need to be a little bit careful about what we say on here.
She's not listening again.
I don't care. Other people are.
Dear Mark Sherman's mom, I would like to have an interview with you about your son's oily towels.
No. What have I done? I'm sorry, anybody who's listening.
Nobody's listening.
I apologize on behalf of Jason and Eddie and myself. And on behalf of Mark Sherman and Scotty Slade and anybody else we've insulted, I'm sorry. Or made uncomfortable.
We're just being friendly. Me asking for your sweaty, oily towels is a sign of affection.
Oh, God.
I mean, I'm still in the no pants boundary with my girlfriend. I would like to see someone with pants.
Oh, God.
Eddie, don't kill your chances before you get going.
Hey, you know what, sir? I have nothing to lose except for oily towels. I don't want to hear this.
You have
we did a nice, professional-sounding podcast. It was going so well, and then it's just fallen apart at the end.
Yep.
Kathryn, this is what you get for being an optimist. I swear to God, I'm going to beat the optimism out of you. You have known me long enough to know that I shoot myself and anything I'm involved in the foot every time.
No, you're just drunk Uncle Eddie. You do really fine at the party until you get a couple of drinks in you, and then it starts going downhill. And then by the end of the party, you're passed out on the floor after hitting on your cousin.
Towels, kid. Can I have your oily towels?
Sharpie dick stritten all over his face.
Oh, God.
I love me some Sharpie dicks. Anyway. That's 78276-9418 and MO Commentary. We should end this now before I get even creepier. I'm Eddie Brody.
I'm Jason Smith.
I'm unfortunately Kathryn.
If listen or don't listen, I don't care. Just send us your oily towels.